Since I'm seeing a lot of questions on stats, let's do another Q&A here. We're going to do a Q&A on stats because I did see quite a few stats related questions, and I'm going to start the Q&A actually with a very important question that I realize a lot of people actually don't know about, and that is about mastery. And a lot of people I think are a little confused about how mastery actually works. So let me explain it fully, so you know how good it is. So I'm sure you know in these types of games there is a damage formula. There is a formula that calculates how much damage you deal to an enemy, and it is taking into consideration the skill you used, the attack, any elemental damage boosts, any resistances, any of these advanced stats down here, and it factors all of that in, and at the end it pushes out a number. So there's the combat formula, and let's say you attack, and at the end of the combat formula it says you're going to deal 1,000 damage. That is the final damage amount, 1,000 damage. The mastery that you have is increasing that final amount, the post calculation number. So if you were going to deal 1,000 damage and you have 50% mastery, you're going to deal 1,500 damage, because it is a 50% increase of the final post-calculation number. Exactly, Reed. Mastery is what is called in many other games final damage. So it is a post-calculation percentage increase in the number. The final damage, or of course, final, this also applies for healers, so it can be the final healing amount as well. So yeah, mastery is a very, very important stat that contributes in a big way to your overall damage and healing output. Yeah, that's how mastery works. Now let's take a look at some of these other questions here. As a free-to-play player, it's hard to increase crit damage, haste, determination, accuracy, and mastery. What should DPS have as a priority? So it very much depends on your class, Hendra. But generally speaking, even as a free-to-play player, you're going to follow the same priority. And crit damage, your main source is going to be your Mamon moves. Your attacking slot as a DPS is always going to be crit damage. That is the best possible main Mamon move slot to get your crit damage source. And as well, depending on your class, you might also be able to run the Voice of Bloodlust talent, which additionally increases your crit damage. So that's how you're going to get your crit damage sources. But essentially, your priority as a free-to-play player is the same as whales. You're just going to have less of the stats. But it would be crit and determination balanced. So for example, whether it's 40-40 or 45-45 or 50-50, whatever you can achieve, but try to keep it as balanced as possible. The reason here that you can see I'm not balanced is because I'm numerically capped on determination, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have a bit more determination to cap with crit. Then you'd also get your accuracy to the percentage you need. Then after that, some classes require a bit more haste. Others, you can invest a little more into mastery, but you would still follow the same priorities. And the best way to know what priorities to follow is to check out on my channel the class change guide relative to what you're playing, because I have a full stats breakdown in each of those videos. So Double Step asks, does that mean mastery is better than haste? Not exactly. At least you can't say it's better than haste. It depends on the class, but there will be some situations where increasing mastery will give you more DPS than increasing haste. But there will be cases where falling below a certain amount of haste will break your damage as well. So it very much depends on the class, but it's not so much to say that one is more important than the other, but that you need both, and how much of both you need depends on your class. Nico asks, what's more important for DPS, mastery or crit damage? See, the good thing about that question is both, because you're never going to find yourself in a situation where you have to sacrifice your crit damage to get more mastery, because you're going to get your crit damage from your 3 attacking slots. So you don't have to make that compromise. You don't have to reduce your mastery to get more crit damage, unless you're talking about spending more move XP, for example, on your crit damage. But generally speaking, both are important. Crit damage is very important because you can get quite a lot of it, as you can see here. Corteski, you can use the same in tank slot. Because you don't benefit from the attacking slot, you might as well throw crit damage in there for when you go to your DPS spec. So Vey asks, does crit damage increase crit heals? No. So Vey Gaming, crit damage does not affect healing. And just to clarify, anything that has damage written in the description, crit damage, physical damage, divine damage, shadow damage, anything, all damage, anything that is written damage does not scale your healing in any way, which is kind of not that great, obviously, because if you can crit heal, then realistically you think to yourself, well, surely crit damage should increase my healing, right? But unfortunately it does not. So as a healer, you do not need any crit damage. 0. Jason says, balanced. Crap, I switched my gear out and I'm lost 12% determination. Yeah, if you swapped accessories, for example, that's the #1 reason why you might lose a lot of determination or crit. And it's very important that you move around your moves in that situation to try to rebalance and get back to a good balance there. The end game of moves is that each Mamon has mastery equipped. So Chachu, there's no end game best moves per se, but actually the best Mamon moves that you should equip are the ones that give you the stats you need to achieve your targets. So you're always going to be changing your moves relative to what you need. Now you know why it's called moves, because you have to move them around. Yeah, exactly. Endgame moves are all accuracy. Well, not exactly, Reed. There are going to be other sources to get accuracy. John says, as a tank, do we have to invest on block rate too? Yes, absolutely. So as a tank, you do have to invest in block rate. Now, keep in mind, you do have a lot of sources of block that come from your skills. But even with those sources in consideration, you still want to have, ideally, at least 50% block. And I say at least, but really 50% is the magic number. If you can achieve 50% block and also some of these additional endurance, evasion, and tenacity, and defense and HP, if you can maintain 50% block with high other defensive stats, you'll be very, very tanky. Very, very tanky, for sure. We're currently in a waiting room for the next power spike. Yeah, I think 6-piece of the Blackrock gear set will be a huge power spike. That's going to be the next big one. Do I prioritize haste, crit, and determination on gear and make up for accuracy on moves? Yes, Eugene, to a certain extent, but I still do have some accuracy. So it's impossible to get all the accuracy I want without sacrificing the moves I want. So I just have a balance. Like, I think I have 1, 2, let's see, 3. I actually have a fair amount of accuracy here. So I have 3 level 5 accuracies, but that allows me then to only run a single accuracy move in order to get the achieved accuracy. Class change 1 tank needs 55% for 100% block. Thanks for the clarification, Robert. So I think, yeah, class change 2 should be 50% block, and then class change 1 55% block, or maybe it's still 55%. How come I see whales in my server using stats like endurance and tenacity when they are DPS? Are they just using orange moves from the combat power, or they know something I don't? So the reason why whales, like, you see, for example, I'm a DPS, but I have capped evasion, I have capped endurance, and I have capped tenacity, but I have not specifically chased those stats. It's because when you look at your moves here, each one of these balance moves gives both a offensive and defensive stat. So check this out. I'm getting 500 tenacity and endurance. Then here I'm having 500 endurance, 1400 endurance, 1900 endurance, another 950 tenacity. So that's where the defensive stats for DPS are coming from. They're not actively chasing it. We're just getting it as we power up our DPS moves. It's still all 55%. Okay, thanks, Robert. So yeah, 55% block for the person who asked earlier to achieve 100% block with your skills in question. Do moves have a max level? Since it's somewhat related to stats, I will explain this quickly. So moves have a max level per class change. Right now it's level 60 for class change 2. In class change 3, it's going to be level 80. In class change 4, it's going to be level 100, and then it goes up level 120, and continuing up from there. And you're going to continue to use imagined realities to get more and more. As a DPS, you want a lot of accuracy, yes. And for those who did not notice, if you're in one of the servers that are deep into class change 2, we've recently passed level 80, which got a significant drop to your accuracy. I was at 104% accuracy, and I dropped all the way down to 98%. Impact says, what is the recommended accuracy at level 81? Well, it depends if you have the the kitty coin skill or not. If you have your kitty coin skill, then probably, let's check. So I'm at 95%, which 2.5% added to that is 97.7%. So I need 2.3% more than what I have right now. So it looks like 101%. If you have 101% and you have kitty coin cat punch skill, then you'll be covered to have 100% accuracy on the dragon. Yeah, it was minus 6% accuracy for me when I leveled up past level 80, correct. Is it going to be even possible to max moves before the next class change for low spenders? Probably not, no. 101% would be, yeah, but don't forget to factor in your, yeah, exactly right, 101%. And I'm missing some, but I don't really have any additional sources of accuracy right now without making major changes. So I'm just accepting the somewhat low accuracy and hoping for the best. The accuracy is most important for the dragon, yeah. If you go look at, for example, some of the trials bosses, they're not going to have such high requirements. See, this is already, I'm over 100% here. The previous one, well, actually, Bane of Lures had a higher requirement, but I'm still at 100% with Kitty Coin here, over 100%, etc. So, it's really the dragon that has higher accuracy requirement. You've noticed the whale healers in your server are not using heal on their Mamon moves, and they're chasing other stats. So that's pretty unusual, Double Step. There may be some cases if they're chasing certain trial progression where they need to be tankier in order not to be killed by the trial's damage. So in that case, it would benefit them more to increase their own tankiness rather than to increase the healing effect from their defensive moves. So that's the only situation where I could realistically see healers chasing defensive moves and not healing effect. It could be something like that, otherwise healing effect is obviously better. Henry says, as a Nightweaver, when should I switch accessory from Haste to Mastery, or never? So you should switch from Haste to Mastery if you have enough Haste without the accessory set to get over 174% attack speed. So if I go here and I break this set, watch what happens. So when I break the set for myself, I drop to 168.5% attack speed, and I'm almost capped on haste. So no matter how much haste I gain, it's not going to be enough to get me back to 174%. So I can't run the different set, unfortunately. I have to stick to what I have equipped. It's the only way I can get over 174% attack speed. If the only way I can swap to the mastery set is if I continue getting these artifact bonds and get all of the haste percentage ones here. Once I get all of the haste percentage resonance here, then I can swap to the new mastery artifact. But that's basically the limitation. You have to make sure you can get enough attack speed. Zone says, as a healer, should I switch out my new accessories for mastery? My haste would drop to 40% of my mastery would go up. So yes, that would be fine, Zone. It would be fine for you to make that change because it would give you more attack as well from the ring, which would increase your healing. And you should consider maybe shifting your moves around if you need to, but ultimately keep in mind, haste does not necessarily increase your healing power. It does reduce the cooldowns of certain skills and has benefits like, reciting and channel speeds, etc. But the actual, compared to mastery actually increases your healing, your final healing. So I think that would be a good change for you. Yes, you can go ahead and do that. Henry says 174, my attack speed is 160. So I said 174 because that's the highest threshold you need to reach to get to 12 Blazing Shadow stacks, Henry. But if you're around 160 with the accessories, then if you can stay at 154% or higher attack speed with the mastery accessory set, then you can swap. It's a different threshold. If you're around 160, then you can swap to mastery if you can maintain 154%. Otherwise, stick to haste. No problem, Henry. That's a pretty watered down explanation of the relationship between attack speed and the Nightweaver class. So I would recommend, Henry, if you go watch my Nightweaver video, near the end of the video in the stats explanation, I actually have the chart that shows the relationship between Blazing Shadow stacks, tactical skill cooldown, and attack speed. So that's where you're going to base your target attack speed percentage at, based on that chart. But 154 is the safe number for 11 stacks. Triple C asks, is it possible to get all the paper plane artifacts as free to play? Not all of them, but you could get one reward per paper plane that's focused on artifacts, yes. Krem says the most annoying part of being a healer is heals crit, but crit damage doesn't work on heal crits. Yeah, I agree, Krem, and personally I think that that's a shame. I actually think it could be nice if healers benefited from crit damage to the same extent that DPS did, because right now crit damage is essentially a wasted stat for healers. Now, on the flip side, it does mean that you can use your 3 attacking slots to stack some of your other stats that you might be missing, whereas DPS are always going to put crit damage there. I'm not sure, Double Step, about that Radiant Focus thing. I'm going to have to check that out off stream, but offhand, I'm not sure. Yes, Zoisky, heals can crit, but you don't get additional healing from crit damage. Crit damage does not affect the power of your crit heals, but you can crit heal. What does the new accessory stats give? So there's actually 2 new accessories. So the one I'm using right now gives haste, the next one above that gives mastery, and then the most recent one, which is just released, gives determination. So I'm really not going to be wearing this one personally because I need haste or mastery. I don't need more determination right now. So I'll only be using this for stats, and I might potentially swap to my mastery set here once I get a bit more haste. But I will absolutely not be getting this determination set here because of stat caps. It doesn't help me in any way. Okay, take care, Henry. We need presets on Mamon moves for sets. Yes, I agree. We need... What would be ideal is to have an account-wide preset that just sets everything with one button. Talents, Mamon moves, special skills, everything with one button. That would be the best dream state. We need a leaderboard for healing per second and damage mitigated on Dragon. That could be fun, honestly, Zone. That could be fun. Reed says crit, haste, mastery, determination sets recycle on new accessories. Yes, for now. Whether or not we'll see changes in the future, it's possible. Like, for example, I'm not sure if in the future we're going to have a 3-set accessory bonus. Right now, it's only a 2-set. Maybe future accessory sets will start having a 3-set bonus, for all we know. In that case, you'd benefit really from running it. So we'll see how that evolves. If I have a better accessory, will it inherit the better main stat? Can you reword what you're asking, Jason? I'm not 100% sure. Hey, GB, how are you? What is the max amount of crit and determination you can have? So there is a cap on the numerical conversion to percentage. So the maximum percentage you can have from actual points, like numerical value of determination or crit, is 50%. But because percentage-based sources stack on top of that, the limit is going to be whatever additional percentage-based sources you can get. So right now, I have 50% determination capped, which means I have 5% determination from other percentage-based sources. Now, if I had an accessory that gave me 12% determination, I'd have 67%. And if there was some other source, I could have even higher than that. So probably right now, arguably, it would be around 67 to maybe 70% is the absolute maximum you could get with all the correct percentages stacked on top of each other. But there's almost never a situation you would chase one stat to such a high level. Do I use 222? I am, and you should be looking out soon for an explanation on why that is. Coming soon to theaters near you. Scoot says, I'd like to see stats able to be locked on gear, and you can re-roll... Oh, I see what you're saying. So like in some games where you can lock one of the stats and just re-roll the other two at an increased recasting cost. I think that would be a genius idea. That would make it a lot better. I like that idea a lot. Caleb says, as a healer, if my haste is above 50% and my accuracy is above 100%, will the best move slots for me be mastery or attack? I think the answer to that is both. I mean, both will benefit your healing. If you have enough slots, you could put one mastery and one attack on each of your open slots. Benedict, what's the optimal daily purchase? It'll be 3,333. Oh, for a mid-spender, excuse me. If you're a mid-spender, it's whatever your threshold is. Some will say 4444, 5555. There's not really a right or wrong answer. 5664 is good as well. Whatever you can accomplish long term, yeah. So double step, the thing you have to remember about Kitty Coin, it's not just about the main skill itself. It's about the fact that it gives you also 2.5% accuracy, which allows you to rework your gear slightly to basically put that 2.5% into other offensive stats. So it's not just about the actual skill itself and the damage increase. It's also the fact that it allows you to respec a little bit of accuracy into different parts of your build, which results in a net damage increase on top of the skill itself. Uro says, you're a Darkblade level 60 with 40% crit and determination, 40% crit, 42% determination, 11% haste, 14% mastery, 100% accuracy. What should you prioritize? So Uros, because you're a Darkblade, you're one of the only classes where you can actually benefit from stacking more determination than crit. Because of the fact that all of your damage as a Darkblade comes from lucky crits on your Crimson Ring, and you have a 100% chance to crit the Crimson Ring, which means if you get like 50% determination, you would have even higher chance to get lucky crits. After that, I would prioritize Mastery. A little bit of Haste as well, because you're going to need more Haste so that you can get more stacks of the debuff, whatever it's called. Decay, yeah. You need to have, ideally, to be able to get 33% decay stacks between each Crimson Ring cast. And in order to accomplish that, you're going to need more haste. So you're going to need more haste and more mastery and some more determination. That's going to be your goals to get more DPS out. So you could potentially drop your crit rate by maybe 5% and increase your determination, haste, and mastery, and that should increase your DPS. Benedict asks, on Kitty Coin, if we hit the 50% double success, does it stay that way until the end of battle, or is it every 10 seconds it goes through a 50% chance? It's correct, Benedict. Every 10 seconds, it's a new 50% chance. And the only way you'll get 100% doubled is if you get your Kitty Coin up to... Once you get it to 4 purple stars, 4 purple evaluate, sorry, that's when you're going to have 100% chance to double every single time. So that's really the dream target for anyone who has the Kitty Coin SP cat bun. Once you get to 4 purple stars, it's 100% chance to double. That's the real deal right there. Ichigo asks, should I get the treasure artifact or the cat bun artifact if I don't have either of them? Personally, Ichigo, if you don't have either of those, I would prioritize the treasure cat bun over the... I would prioritize the treasure artifact over the cat bun artifact. So if you're sitting here and you say, I don't have wind catching bag, should I get Firefly Path or wind catching bag? Your priority should be wind catching bag between those two options. But only if you don't have any copies of it. If you're completely missing it, prioritize wind catching bag over Firefly Path. Otherwise, if you have all of these, then get Firefly Path. It's that simple.